am your host, Christene Marie. We are going to be diving into our review lessons, and then we will jump into lesson 87 today. Lesson 40, I am blessed as the Son of God. Lesson 41, God goes with me wherever I go. Lesson 42, God is my strength. Vision is his gift. Lesson 43, God is my source. I cannot see apart from him. Lesson 44, God is the light in which I see. Lesson 45, God is the mind with which I think. Lesson 46, God is the love in which I forgive. Lesson 47, God is the strength in which I trust. Lesson 48, there is nothing to fear. Lesson 49, God's voice speaks to me all through the day. Lesson 50, I am sustained by the love of God. Lesson 61, I am the light of the world. Lesson 62, forgiveness is my function as the light of the world. Lesson 63, the light of the peace brings peace to every mind through my forgiveness. Lesson 64, let me not forget my function. Lesson 65, my only function is the one God gave me. Lesson 66, my happiness and my function are one. I think there's an animal outside my door. It's like very loud. Sorry. Like, is there a person or an animal outside? Lesson 68, love holds no grievances. Lesson 69, my grievances hide the light of the world. Lesson 70, my salvation comes from me. Lesson 71, only God's plan for salvation will work. Lesson 72, holding grievances is an attack on God's plan for salvation. And now we're on to lesson 73. I will there be light, and this is one of our deeper dives for today. I will use the power of my will today. It is not my will to grope about in darkness, fearful of shadows and afraid of things unseen and unreal. Light shall be my guide today. I will follow it where it leads me, and I will look only on what it shows me. This day, I will experience the peace of true perception. These forms of this idea would be helpful for specific application. This situation or circumstance cannot hide the light I will to see. You stand with me in light, insert name. In the light, this will look different. This will look different. They use will interchangeably a couple times. We have this very extreme balance between two nuances and two kind of extremes, both coexisting. A friend of mine, he actually came on the Knowing podcast. Oh, I never dropped the link to the Knowing podcast with Kamal. I think I was talking about that yesterday. I'll do that hopefully after the show if I remember. But this gentleman, Dimitri, he came on the Knowing podcast, and we had such a good conversation. And he said, he was the one that actually said this to me, and I've been resonating with it ever since. He said, the most mature, or like a mark of maturity, is the ability to hand two seemingly opposing truths. So for me, when I faced that so like kind of starkly when I kind of went through my own dark night of the soul, when I was trying to comprehend, it was like my childlike brain at the time could not comprehend how, just to be honest, how my husband could love me and leave me. Like, I didn't understand that. And my therapist was like, well, it's like that saying, like, somebody can want to have cake and also be really fit, like, oh, I guess that's not a saying. I was thinking of the saying, have your cake and eat it too. I guess it's kind of like that. And so there is something here around kind of, okay, two seemingly opposing truths coexisting. And those are the will of God and the will of us. And both of those can actually coexist, because they do. Either I am submitting and subservient to the will of God, and thus I am willing for his will, or I am willing for my will, or not even my will, but I'm willing something in opposition for that. Because the reality is that we do have a will. And for so long as, like, a lot of times I've actually seen this. I've seen this in my experience, Christian women, where it's lying over and being a doormat and just kind of like playing dead. Like, I'm just here to serve people and I don't matter. And, the only thing that gives me value is kind of killing myself. And hopefully now I'm worthy. And we talked all about the need for impact and the need to serve last night. So that is important, again, with nuance and holding seemingly conflicting truth. But the reality is that we are a person and we do have wants and needs and wills. And the question is, are we awake? Are we allowing them to wake up, and thus pointing them and kind of orienting them to be in alignment with what God says is best for our lives? This is what I mean by vertical alignment. We can be horizontally aligned. We can be oriented towards the rest of the world and looking to everybody else to give us meaning, and looking to them to kind of define what makes us worthy. But if we're willing to, again, if we're bringing our will into alignment under God's will, both wills still coexist. And I could easily be outside of the will of, the superordinate principle. My will exist no matter what. It's just whether I'm bringing it into alignment under his and the hierarchy of submission. Because then, man, now I'm motivated and propelling myself forward, and I'm awake and alive, and I'm energized, and I'm experiencing life in a visceral way, and I'm fully engaged, versus, well, let me just exist here and kind of see what happens. There's a lot of sitting on laurels. And so this is where today's lesson, I will, there be light. It's like, what do you want? What do you will? We get what we want in so many ways. We were talking about this last night as well. One of the questions, we were talking about a couple different examples and like a couple different scenarios of how we can exist, in the world. And we were talking about some specific things for areas for different people. And I think a really important question that we need to remember to ask is, well, what do you want this to stay the same? And last night we had a couple of real honest conversations around like, yeah, I actually do want my life to stay the same. And it's like, good. Like, I'm glad that you're content and happy with your life. And that's actually a beautiful, wonderful thing. So now let's not put our attention and desire to changing the will if you're actually in alignment with what you want, what you feel is right for your life. You know what I mean? Like, we don't need to change our will if we're wanting it, unless it's outside of the will of God. For us to come in and tell somebody, oh, you're willing and wanting the wrong thing, that's our responsibility. Y'all, this is where it's so incredibly important, because this is where we're all really different. I could have a very different mission for my life than you. And so my wants and wills need to align with that mission that I have uniquely with God. And so this is where identity comes into play. We talk about the amalgamation of identity. Identity A is, this is who God says that I am, and this is universal. Every single one of us is called, chosen, adored, loved, worthy, accepted. And so that's identity. Identity B is, who was I uniquely made to be? Why am I here? And that's where really that will comes into play. But you know what? We can also choose to align our will with who God says that we are, and say, you know what? I'm going to believe that over even horizontally. We could be in a terrible situation. And really, there's been times where it's like our alignment with the identity that God gives us is really being threatened. And it's like, no, I will believe this. Like, we're willing for the truth to be remembered and hidden in our hearts, to then be able to be manifested when we really need it. And so our will needs to be in alignment with God's, but also bringing our wants and needs into submission under our will, because we have them. And we were talking about the law of attraction and the power of cause and effect. All of that is so real. So if I'm not acknowledging what I deeply want and need, I'm not giving voice to it. I'm not awakening it. And thus I'm not actually able to bring it into alignment. We cannot bring anything into alignment that we do not know. So taking the time to know what's going on inside of us thus allows us to bring it into alignment and thus be in control of it. We have to be aware, then understand, and then we can control according to the definition of emotional intelligence. So this is why going inward is important, so that yes, we're in control, but also so that we can achieve this glorious mission that each one of us has. Moving on to lesson 74. There is no will but God's. The irony of this coming right after what we were just saying with there being two wills. I'm going to read it and then let's talk about it. I am safe today because there is no will but God's. I can become afraid only when I believe there is another will. I try to attack only when I am afraid, and only when I try to attack can I believe that my eternal safety is threatened. Today I will recognize that all of this has not occurred. I am safe because there is no will but God's. These are some useful forms of this idea for specific application. Let me perceive this in accordance with the will of God. It is God's will. You are his son, insert name, and mine as well. This is part of God's will for me, however I may see it. All right, so lesson 73 says, I will, there be light. I will use the power of my will today. Lesson 74 says, there is no will but God's. And so this is where, what's interesting. So you guys obviously can't see it, but in the bottom where she's talking about specific applications, she says, these are different thoughts that might be helpful for you for lesson 73, which is, I will, there be light. And she says, this cannot hide the light I will to see. So we're asserting our will. And then down below for lesson 74, there is no will but God's. One of these is, let me perceive this situation in accordance with the will of God. This is where it's the nuance and it's the capital T truth example. What are the capital T truths, but then still little t truths? So our will has a little w and the will of God has a capital W, because that will of God is the superordinate one. That's what takes hierarchy. So yes, we do have a will, and the ultimate will is the will of God. And that's the one where it's like, hey, there's nothing better. There's nothing more powerful than the will of God. And here's what's interesting. I mean, I'm not even actually going to address this, but I'm going to bring it up and cause a ruckus. Can we ever truly make something happen that is not at all the will of God, where God's like, what? And thus the question is, okay, so then if we can't do that, if we never catch him by surprise, if he already knows, how does that all work? And this is where it gets like very existential, and I'm not going to address this question because I don't know. I have my theories, but I don't want to distract from kind of the topic at hand. Y'all, at the end of the day, it's a reminder that God's will is the ultimate will. His will is the best will. And ultimately, basically, I think of it as this way. It's almost like anything that I'm willing outside of God's will is going to be kind of an illusion. It's like, well, that's just silly. Why would I go and invest and seek for something that's not going to bring life? Seek something that will not induce peace. Seek something that will not bring joy. And so that is where it's like there's no will but God's. It's like God's will is the supreme, is the ultimate, is the most lasting and beautiful. And when we really kind of think about it, it's like, okay, there really isn't another will besides his, in the capital T will and the capital T truth. And frankly, I'd love to hear y'all's perception of these two verses in conflict, because not in conflict, but in concert together. When we read these, we read them in isolation. And now to read them back to back, I'm like, ooh, it seems opposition, but I think that's my understanding right now. And I'd love to hear y'all's take. So with that, I'm going to jump in the chat. Wayne, good morning. Good morning, my friends. Steven, good morning. Soups, no, I'm not AI. Drew, good morning. Just in time, good morning. I'm glad you're here. Rick Norman, good morning. Fatir, good morning. Thanks for hanging out. George's, yes, my friend. I'm glad you're here, Josh. Luis, good morning. Victory, good morning. Peter, Cortez, thanks for hanging out with us. Mike G, do you ever go fishing? Oh gosh, I've gone fishing a handful of times, but I don't go frequently, but it sounds fun. Michael, oh, I love this. Maturity is when you can walk away from an argument and just look at people, and in the back of your head, I need to read the whole comment before I start saying this is great advice. But I will say, Michael, I agree with you when you're saying maturity is that you can walk away from a conversation. I actually think that that's really, really beautiful to have that ability to do that in conflict. I will say I actually think the greatest mark of maturity is to be able to, not in general, but in this case, the example that you gave, I actually think it's being able to not have them get under our skin, to be impervious. Y'all, that is freaking powerful. That people can say things, do things, try to poke at us, and we're good. We just remove ourselves from the situation and we are not bothered. Y'all, that's power. That is incredible. That's freedom. That is power, to be impervious to the pokes and prods of other people where they're trying to hurt us. They're trying to get under our skin, and we know how to protect ourselves. Yesterday evening, we talked about how to protect the inner child. And I think that's one of those ways we know how to effectively protect ourselves from those people who would come in and poke. So I think that was, I liked where you were going with that. All right, let me keep going. Dilbert, good morning. Andra, hi. I'm glad you're here. Ravenclaw or Foxclaw, good morning. Of the Ultimate Mission. I love your title. That's awesome. El Merrill, good morning. Thanks for hanging out. Alexis, good morning. I'm putting you on timeout because we just don't talk like that. Jerry, good morning. Patrick, Image, Nick, good morning. Taylor Swift, or Trailer Swift. That's funny how I just had that like in my head. Tiago, say hello to Brazil. Good morning. Control is an illusion. You don't even know if you're going to die in the next 5 minutes, Patriot said. That's a layer of complexity, man. Mr. Special Forces, good morning. I have not, but thanks for hanging out with us. All right, I am going to scroll down. David Russell, illusion. Thank you for helping me. All right, just scrolling. Alan Korea, no, I am real. Ben R, hello. Oh, I like your pretty fonts. I'm doing good. I went to bed super late last night working on a project for work, so it was rough getting up this morning, and I woke up and I just honestly, this is one of those mornings where I rolled out and rolled here. And so I'm doing well. I had this thought last night, and I'm glad I did because it actually was helping me this morning. So I'm in Phoenix. I'm on the West Coast this weekend. Well, not really West Coast, but West Coast time. So I'm in Phoenix, and it's 3 hours earlier, obviously. And it was just a really good, I went to bed at 6 a.m. my time, and I went to bed at, 1:40 last night, which for most people isn't bad, but I was tired. And I was reminding myself last night, like, I never want to take for granted the things that I get to do that have become ordinary. Guys, every time I jump on with you, every time that we eat, every time we get to work out, even Peter, you said this, like, we don't know, control is an illusion. We don't know what the next 5 minutes is going to bring. And so let me be grateful for every moment of the now. Let me be grateful for every gift that I can experience right here, right now. And so this is a gift, all of us being together. The fact that someone from Brazil is here, and from like literally people from all over Australia. We've never had anybody, I don't think, from Thailand, but we've had people from so many countries, Afghanistan, Pakistan. We've had so many Israel. We've had so many Palestine. We've had so many people from so many different areas. And so I'm so grateful for the fact that we can gather here and experience, this is the thing, experience unity, because the world is so broken right now. The world is so hurting. There's so much division. And this is where it's like, oh, let me actually remember what is more true than what is happening in the physical world. That's the capital T truth, happening more true than anything else right now. Because what these people, these leaders of countries, they look like they've got all the power, but at the end of the day, there is no will but God's. And at the end of the day, literally on the other side of this life, we'll kind of experience, I think we're going to experience a lot of respite from this in so many ways. Henry says, would your will be whatever God's will is? It's so funny. I was thinking about this just 2 days ago. Yeah, I want it to be. I think that's the thing. That's what we have to ask. Like, is my will actually in alignment? Would I be willing to do what God wills, even if it's hard or scary or not at all what I want? Am I willing to bring my wants over into that, and align everything under the superordinate principle of what God wants and wills? Traf, good morning. Jose, good morning. Gooey. Oh my. What an interesting title you have of your name. King Charles, good morning. Rocket. Good morning, Bradley's. Thanks for hanging out. I'm glad you're here. John Jackson, good morning. CMJ, well, my wife and I just had that discussion last night. Interesting. Oh, isn't that cool when that happens? It's like, all right, I'm on the right track. I love that. Kyle says, greetings, is this about ACIM? Yes, we read A Course in Miracles earlier. Every morning we read a lesson or two, and then we read one lesson. Today we read 2 reviews. But yeah. DJ. I love that. DJ H says, the second half of that maturity is not what maturity is. If you're in the back of your head cussing people out, it won't be long until you crash out. Immature, trying to act mature. I agree with you. I think that's where it's like, y'all, we were talking about, radical responsibility is truly a concept that is probably one of the most important values. And it's the practice of going inward and assuming radical responsibility for every single bit. Because to your point, DJH, like, we could manifest, it looks like it's good, but then we are going to crash and burn. Like, it's going to come out. There's a biblical concept that says, you shall know a tree by its fruit. It will come forth. Whatever's inside of us will come out. And so the question is, do we like what's inside? Do we even know what's inside? And am I in control of what is inside? Am I taking time to intentionally purge and get rid of and allow for inputs to feed and cultivate something beautiful, like a beautiful garden? You shall know a tree by its fruit. Well, what kind of tree am I cultivating inside me? And then thus what's going to be experienced by others around me? So I'm glad you brought that up, because that's so incredibly true. Attitude of gratitude, Wayne says. I love that. Yes. I love that you say that. I had this moment, gosh, like the fall of 2024. It was one of those moments, where you just remember. I really felt like God told me gratitude is the antidote. And y'all, that has been more true in my life than most anything. It is, am I going to choose to see this person for everything wrong that they're doing, everything I'm annoyed that they're doing, or am I going to look at them with gratitude? And man, I would actually choose the annoyances than not have them in my life. So therefore, let me actually just be grateful for them. And that flipped everything on its head. Gratitude is the antidote. And it's been one of those like little mantras that has really stuck with me and I really abide by, because we get to choose. Am I going to look at this person with a heart of gratitude, or am I going to look at them with a heart of frustration or fear or anger? So we get to choose how we look at people. We get to choose what we focus on. And so if we're focusing on gratitude, we're going to find more things to be grateful for. If we're choosing on frustration, we're going to find more things to be frustrated by. We find what we're looking for every time. So I love that you kind of double clicked on that. American, like and subscribe, guys. Oh, thank you. Nax, anyone from Bangladesh? Nice. Thanks for hanging out. You know what? Of the ultimate mission, I'm curious what you define as that, because I'm curious what you mean. And what was said that felt that way to you. I'd love to know. Have met, good morning. Nameless says, beautiful are the feet of they who preach the gospel. Sammy, oh, I'm so glad you're here. Sammy, it's been so long. So Sammy is a friend of the Knowing Show. He came on, gosh, it must have been probably going on 3 months. Sammy came on a couple months ago, and it was the date of the day when he had his accident. So this is what is now put in the chat. Sammy wants everyone to know about his neck being so badly broken and now having a diagnosis, C2 complete quadriplegic and ventilator dependent, as Sammy needs to tell people and help to let them know. Sammy, I am with you. I'm so glad to hear from you. I'd love to hear, if there's been any, I don't know. I'd love to just hear how you're doing. I know that it's been really, really hard these past, a couple of years now. I think it's been 2 years since your accident. And I'm wondering if you're finding any joy and choosing any joy these days. I think of you often, and people ask about you, Sammy. So you're really, really loved. And I'm so glad you're here. Mark Runyon, hello, good morning. Frank, every step I take, God is guiding me. Michael Adams, I love the glasses. Thank you. And Bradley's. I love that. Well, it always makes me I really genuinely pay attention to the folks who are on here on a regular basis. So I thank you for coming on here and being a regular now. King Charles, I love that you're here. Thank you. All right, I am going to go ahead and jump off, y'all. There's a day to live and a day to seize, and y'all, there's so much to be grateful for. Like we were just saying, there's so much good. There's so much good, and we've got a lot truly to be grateful for. And the question is, are we going to focus on that? Are we going to focus on the bright spots and focus on the beauty? So with that, I'm just looking through here in the chat. Erdem, all of us have good and evil in us. Which one do you feed? I love that concept of feeding. Guys, we're nourishing a part of us, to your point. What part of us are we nourishing? Are we nourishing fear? Are we nourishing anger? Are we nourishing peace? Are we, the concept of the tree? The concept of the tree is, it's really, really beautiful, because there is something around like, you shall know a tree by its fruit. But how are you tending to the soil? How are you watering it? Are you putting it in sunshine? Are you actually taking the time to ensure that it's healthy? Or is it just barely surviving, and then the fruit that comes out is kind of the withered prunes and just dried up? Are you actually supplying your soil, yourself, your soul, your spirit with what you need to be able to live in accordance with the alignment that we may acclaim? One of the things that I think is important, just to that point, we have to know what we want. At the end of the day, we might say something, but if we're wanting something different, it's not going to be in alignment. And thus we're going to have a big disparity between what we say and what we want. One of the most helpful things to help me understand who I wanted to be was I wrote my eulogy. And I did that when I turned 30. So clue in for my age. I did that when I turned 30. And it really was so helpful. It served as a mirror for me. You know, who do I say that I want to be? And am I living that way? Am I actually on the trajectory to get me to be that person? And so I reverse engineered it. Okay, if that's who I want to be at the end of my life, what do I need to do today? And we cannot assume we have so much time. I hope we do. I'd like to. I anticipate so. And man, okay, it's like I've actually heard this from like the greats in business, great CEOs, and they're like, what you say you're going to do in 10 years, why could you not do that in 6 months? And I've sat with that question, and there's actually been a number of things where I'm like, okay, I actually could realistically do that. Now, some things, you know, you can't, but for a lot of things that we are looking way off into the future, we actually could do them way sooner. So that's my challenge for all of us today. How can we actually bring the things that we feel compelled to, want to do, feel passionate about? Why can we not bring that sooner? Why can we not bring that sooner into our life and really walk accordingly? So, Alil Bond, thank you for joining. Of course, The Ultimate Mission. Have you read it? Have you read A Course in Miracles? I'd be curious if you have, but yeah, I'd love to. And you know, if you want to send me a note on Instagram, please do, because I'd love to hear more from you. Oh, Kyle, I'm so glad. Thank you for joining. He says, I really needed this right now. Thank you for hanging out with us. All right, y'all, have a wonderful day. The great one. I saw a note from Sammy. I think it was from one of his nurses. So I'm just giving, also, hi, great one. I'm glad to see your name. So I saw him here and it made me so happy, but I don't know if he still is. But Sammy, we love you if you're listening. All right, y'all, have a wonderful day. Bradley's, I just see your note. I sent you an email. Please check if your earliest communions. I will take a look. God bless Paxton. It took me a week to get back to him. So I will get back to you soon, I promise. But I'm so glad to have you guys here. Ultimate Mission, please send me a note on Instagram. I'd love to talk with you about it. And I'd love to hear if you've read it. At least the lessons. I haven't read the full book, so I can't speak to it, but I'd love to hear your perspective. All right, y'all, have a wonderful day. Thank you for hanging out with us, and I will see you. I actually, you know what? I've been going live every day in the evenings, but I think, I don't know if I'm going to go live tonight. I think I might just take the weekends to kind of feed my soul and feed my spirit. So I don't know if I'll be going live tonight. I guess we'll all find out. That's part of the reason why I'm excited to have the Knowing community, because then I can communicate with you guys outside of going live. But I don't know. We'll see. I'm realizing and remembering just how important it is for talk about nourishing and feeding us, how important it is to just really feed and nourish myself so that, you know, these conversations can be quality and we can have real substance and have good conversations. And, you know, I'll just be honest, anytime I've gotten frustrated by a comment, it's a mirror for me that I'm actually not in alignment. So my job is to make sure that I can really maintain this ability to chat with you guys and just have so much love, you know, and not have my identity wrapped up in the mean comments or even the good ones, you know, and just really kind of be able to keep that approach of love. So I think I'm going to take time this weekend. I'll be on tomorrow morning at 9 a.m. But I've also got some planning to do, the Knowing community, which I'm super excited about. I met with my mentor for a little bit about it yesterday, and I'm feeling really excited. April 9th is going to be the first day where we're going to do a roundtable where some of you guys are going to be live with me, and we're going to talk life. And I'm excited. I want to be doing that on a regular basis. We play trivia on Wednesdays. In the morning show, we talk about kind of like the mental and spiritual intelligence and alignment. And I want to pick a day a week where we also literally spend time together. And there's different themes that we talk about. And we kind of rotate through who comes on and goes live with me and all that good stuff. So I'm excited. There's so many good things that are kind of coming about. And it's interesting, just kind of being thoughtful here. When I just had this sense, I was like, I need to finish my book, and then other things are going to start kind of almost like working out. And that's been the case in so many ways. We have to do what we know we should before dreaming and wanting something more. It's like, well, have you cleaned your room, to use the analogy of Jordan Peterson? So I cleaned my room 2 weeks ago, got my book done. Actually, this past week, I met with my book editor. So anyways, I am excited for all that's to come, and I'm grateful for each one of you guys. And I really am hopeful that each one of us makes today a good day, because we have the power to do that in so many ways. We have the power of choice to choose our outlook, and the power of choice to choose gratitude. So with that, have a wonderful day. I will see you tomorrow morning, 9 a.m., and I will talk to you then. Bye, my friends.